Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, and today let's talk about one of the concerns that you guys have voiced the most in relation to the new Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 announcement, and that is, will your add-ons be compatible or do you need to purchase everything again yourself? Now, with the release of the frequently asked questions, Microsoft have already tried to address this by saying that all your older add-ons are basically going to work. I went over this in a bit more detail in the previous video, so if you haven't watched that yet, I can absolutely recommend you to do so. Now, today let's hear the developer's perspective, and I've chosen 3 statements from different developers in that they are not only, well, different developers, but in that they actually fit to different fields of development. So among them are going to be one developer of an aircraft add-on that is not sold in Microsoft Marketplace. Then we have a scenery developer. And finally we have an aircraft developer of an aircraft that is sold in the marketplace. Now you can obviously guess which one that is going to be. Alright, let's start with a developer who does not sell on the marketplace, namely Phoenix. And this is the statement that they have done on their Discord. So Dave says, hello all, Dave here again. We are naturally getting a lot of questions about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. However, we've been just as surprised by the announcement as you will have been. There hasn't been any extra communication between Asobo and third-party developers, so we had no idea yet what it entails except for the trailer and our own speculation. If you have a question for us about Phoenix and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, the answer right now is we don't know. From what we've seen, this doesn't change anything about our current plans or processes, and we'll be continuing with V2 and the IAE and our other planned work as before. As soon as we know what implications are of the new platform for us, we'll be sure to make a bigger announcement. But please do keep in mind we will likely not be privileged to any more information than the rest of the public. So that's the point of view from Phoenix as a developer who does not sell their aircraft on the marketplace. Basically, they say that they continue as before, no change to the plans, and they simply don't have any additional information on top of what people know in the public. So let's go ahead now with a scenery developer, namely FlightBeam Studios, my personal favorite, by the way, amongst all scenery developers, but that's for a different video. Alright, so here is what FlightBeam has to say about it. Fellow simmers and customers, like you, I was blindsided by the announcement of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Interested in getting some new info about Starfield like some other folks. I certainly didn't expect the imminent nuclear bomb Microsoft was in the midst of dropping. Just as things were starting to settle down in the MSFS world with SDK issues, development pipelines, and overall stability and popularity with hardcore simmers, the idea of a whole new sim coming out in 2024 is both perplexing and worrisome. However, Microsoft has released some initial info, after which I can make an initial assessment on where things will go in terms of FlightBeam products. With the current info given, it's safe to assume the following. You will not need to repurchase any FlightBeam products from Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. You can transfer your current license to the new sim without any additional cost. Any purchases made from now is also available to use in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 once released at no additional cost. Lastly, this has no effect on our current production. One particular troublesome issue is once again the notion of Microsoft Flight Simulator users freezing any add-on purchases until MSFS 2024. Please support your developers, this is our livelihood and the development funding of new products depending on your continued support. Thanks, and be sure to hang on tight for this new crazy adventure. Alright, so this is something very, very important over here. First of all, we can also tell that FlightBeam has been just as surprised by the new announcement than anybody else. So once again, no sign of any internal information given there by Microsoft beforehand. However, it's very good to see that FlightBeam is going to follow suit, and any add-on that is currently available from them for Microsoft Flight Simulator will come to you to the new sim without any additional cost. Last but not least, however, he makes a very, very important statement, and I cannot overemphasize this, and that is, their big worry that MSFS users might be freezing any add-on purchases until the new sim. So I can really only repeat what he said there. Please support your developers. This is their livelihood, and the development funding of new products depends on your continued support. This is also something that I've heard from another developer who wanted to remain unnamed though, and they are afraid of sales dropping by 80%. That is their experience with past simulators, and that is what, well, they're afraid of happening. And I guess it goes without any additional comment that a drop in sales by 80% could be devastating for any developer there. Alright, last but not least, let's have a look into what a developer says that is actually selling their add-ons on the marketplace. And obviously, as you guys can imagine, this is going to be PMDG. So this is their June 13 update. What impact does Microsoft's announced MSFS 2024 version have on PMDG? And I'm going to quote Captain Robert over here. Captains, I want to focus this update specifically on Microsoft's weekend announcement regarding MSFS 2024 and what it means with regards to PMDG's development agenda and schedule. To put the meat of my point right up front, none of the information we have been able to derive from publicly available sources lends us to believe that any change in our development agenda, product plans, pricing strategy, or product release schedule is necessary. I want to put a very sharp asterisk on the following points, however. We are not a Microsoft partner. We do not get advanced information from Microsoft. We are currently evaluating this weekend news drop by looking at the same information that is currently being provided to the public. That information is high level and lacks the sort of technical and specific detail that we need to make authoritative, specific promises to you, our customers, so our guidance at this time is based upon the overall message Microsoft appears to be communicating, and that message looks like business as usual to PMDG. At this moment in time, our current guidance is that we see no reason for concern about the forward compatibility of your PMDG products. It is PMDG's position that ensuring forward compatibility is a smart decision both for Microsoft and for PMDG, as it protects the customer's investment in the hobby. In our early conversations with Microsoft after the unveiling of MSFS back in 2019, we came away with the impression that Microsoft's business plan was pro-simmer, and that is why we announced our support of the platform in August of that year. While the messaging of this new version of MSFS has been a bit non-specific, we suspect that Microsoft's strong support for the growth of the developer community and the customer value equation remains in place. As Microsoft publishes more detailed information, we will continue to evaluate and keep you informed. To keep any uninformed conjecture to a minimum, here is a summary of things that have changed in our agenda based upon the announcement from Microsoft. PMDG 737 for MSFS. No changes in the development plans currently announced. PMDG 777 for MSFS. No changes in development plans currently announced. PMDG DC6 for MSFS. No changes in development plan currently announced. PMDG's development agenda after 777 release. No changes in development plans. PMDG's continued improvement to existing products, including our pending tablet update. No changes in development plans. Invariably, there will be questions directed at many details, such as how will you manage to install on two platforms and other technical conversations. Please understand that we are not in a position to answer those questions at this time, as we do not have sufficient knowledge or understanding of how Microsoft intends to manage this two parallel tracks methodology they have announced. Once we can get our hands on it, we can work out the details. In the meantime, enjoy the energy in the community and please refrain from arguing with each other of things that nobody has answers to. Once again, very good to see there that PMDG also goes down the same road as the other two developers we've mentioned, in that there are simply no changes to the current development plans. However, at this point I would once again like to emphasize what Mir from FlightBeam has said earlier on, that with all the promises now made for licenses to be transferable between one simulator and the other, and with any logic that there would really be in place, just take a moment to think about why Microsoft would go ahead and say that all the add-ons will automatically be forwarded if you bought from Marketplace. It would just be logical that Marketplace, which is probably the milk cow of Microsoft, in terms of Flight Simulator, seeing that they get some 30% of the revenue from the developers who sell on Marketplace, it would seem unlogical for Microsoft to kill off their Marketplace and have developers redevelop everything from scratch. So that's probably not going to happen. It would be very interesting, however, to think about what their announcement that all the products are going to be forwarded to the new simulator means in terms for the developers. Now, what do I mean with that? Well, I mean that Microsoft basically promises that everything sold on Marketplace is going to be compatible with the new sim. We've seen similar promises in the past, for example, when Lockheed released their prepared version 2 back in the day, where they said that all the FSX add-ons would work, and ultimately it turned out that they didn't. So we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. However, at the moment, with the present information available, it seems that the overall opinion in the developer community is really that they are looking forward to this new simulator very positively, and that all of them, with the current information available, do plan to make their updates to the new simulator, if any are required at all, available at no additional cost. Also very good to see that pretty much all of them have announced that there are no changes in the development plans currently announced for what they're doing for the current simulator. Now finally, I want to close this video off with a little statement regarding the release time frame of the new sim. And that is just a gentle reminder to everyone that even though they say it's going to release in 2024, it does not necessarily mean that it's going to release on the 1st of January 2024. It might just as well be a year and a half off and release on the 31st of December that year. So just keep that in mind when you're planning your purchases for the new hobby, as that is certainly going to make quite a difference if you will spend the entire year 2024 on the old sim, because the new one is only going to release at the end of the year. We don't know that, but it is certainly something to think about when you're planning your purchases on new add-ons. Alright, thank you very much for watching everyone. I do hope that you've enjoyed this one. If you did, then do let me know in the comments of the video below. Also let me know what you think about my current analysis, and keep in mind that I am also working on the very same publicly available data as you guys are at the moment, and as any developer is at the moment, as well as Microsoft has not shared any inside information with anybody yet. Thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to see you all again very, very soon.